Hello friends, welcome to the channel. Know more about the President of India. Under the chapter The Union Executive of the Constitution of India. Know more about the role, function and powers of the President of India. The Supreme Leader, the President. Before moving ahead, like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to press the bell icon. The Constitution of India says there shall be a President of India, executive power of the Union. The executive power of the Union shall be vested in the President and shall be exercised by him or her either directly or through officers subordinate to him or her in accordance with this constitution. Now, without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing provision, the supreme command of the defense forces of the Union shall be vested in the President, and the exercise thereof shall be regulated by law. Nothing in this shall be deemed to transfer to the President any functions conferred by any existing laws on the government of any state or other authority, or prevent Parliament from conferring by law functions on authorities other than the President. Elections of the President. The President shall be elected by the members of the Electoral College consisting of the elected members of both houses of Parliament and the elected members of the legislative assemblies of the state. Manner of the election of President. As far as practicable, there shall be uniformity in a scale of representations of the different state at the election of the President. For the purpose of securing such uniformity among the states, inter-states, as well as parity between the states as a whole and the Union, the number of votes with each elected number and member of Parliament and of the Legislative Assembly of each state is entitled to cast at such election shall be determined in the given manner. The first manner that explains every elected member of the Legislative Assembly of a state shall have as many votes as there are multiples of 1000 in a quotient obtained by dividing the population of the state by the total number of the elected member of the assembly. Continuing forward, the second manner describes if after taking the said multiples of 1000 the remainder is not less than 500, then the vote of each member referred to in sub clauses shall be further increased by 1. And the third manner that explains each elected members of either house of Parliament shall have such number of votes as many may be obtained by dividing the total number of votes assigned to the members of the legislative assemblies of the states under sub clauses by the total number of the elected members of both House of Parliament, fractions exceeding one half being counted as one and other fractions being discarded. The election of the President shall be held in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of the single transferable vote, and the voting at such election shall be by secret ballot. The expression population means populations as ascertained at the last preceding census, of which the relevant figures have been published, providing that the last preceding census of which the relevant figures have been published shall until the relevant figures for the first census take after the year has been published to be constructed as reference. Now, moving towards the most important term of office of president, that describes the president shall hold office for a term of 5 years from the date on which he or she enters upon his office, provided that the Constitution of India that further describes about the president that may be writing under his or her hand address to the vice president resign his office. Second point, that describes in the constitution for the president may for violation of the constitution be removed from office by impeachment in the manner provided in Article 61. The Constitution of India that describes the President shall, notwithstand the expiration of his term, continue to hold office until his successor enter upon his or her office. Any resignation addressed to the Vice President under the clause of a proviso to clause shall forthwith be communicated by him to the Speaker of the House of the People. Under the chapter The Union Executive, the eligibility for re-election of the President described in the Constitution of India, that describes a person who holds or who has held office as President shall, subject to the other provision of the Constitution, be eligible for re-election to that office. Qualification for election as President. The most important part described in the Constitution of India under the chapter Part 5 Union Executive, that describes no person shall be elected eligible for election as President unless he or she is a citizen of India, has completed the age of 35 years, and is qualified for election as a member of the House of the People. A person shall not be eligible for election as President if he or she hold any office of profit under the Government of India or the Government of any state or under any local or other authority subject to the control of any of the aforesaid government. For the purpose, a person shall not be deemed to hold any office of profit by reason only that he or she is the President or Vice President of the Union or the governor of any state or is a minister either for the union or for any states. Now, moving towards the conditions of President's office. The Constitution of India describes that the President shall not be a member of either House of Parliament or of a House of the Legislature of any state, and if a member of either House of Parliament or of a House of the Legislature of any state be elected President, he or she shall be deemed to have vacated his or her seat in that House on the date on which he or she enters upon his office as a President. The President shall not hold any other office of profit. The President shall be entitled without payment of rent to the use of these official residences and shall be also entitled to such emoluments, allowances, and privileges as may be determined by Parliament by law and until provision in that behalf is so made, such emoluments, allowances, and privileges are specified in the second schedule. The emoluments and allowances of the President shall not be diminished during his or her term of office. Oath or affirmations by the President. Every President and every person acting as President or discharging the function of the President shall before entering upon his office made and subscribe in the presence of the Chief Justice of India or in his or her absence the senior most judge of the Supreme Court available an oath or affirmation in the following form for faithfully execute the office solemnly affirm of President or discharge the function of the President of India and will to the best of the ability preserve, protect and defend the Constitution and the law and that will devote themselves to the service and well-being of the people of India. Now moving towards the procedure for impeachment of the President. When a President is to be impeached for violation of the Constitution, the charge shall be preferred by either House of Parliament. No such charge shall be preferred unless the proposal to prefer such charge is contained in a resolution which has been moved after at least 14 days notice in writing signed by not less than one-fourth of the total number of members of the House has been given of their intention to move the resolution and be such resolution has been passed by the majority of not less than two-thirds of the total membership of the House. When a charge has been so preferred by either House of Parliament, the other House shall investigate the charge or cause the charge to be investigated, and the President shall have the right to appear and to be represented at such investigations. If, as a result of the investigation, a resolution is passed by the majority of not less than two-thirds of the total membership of the House by which the charge was investigated or caused to be investigated, declaring that the charge preferred against the President has been sustained. Such resolution shall have the effect of removing the President from his office as from the date on which the resolution is so passed. Time of holding election to fill vacancy in the office of President, and the term of office of person elected to fill casual vacancy. An election to fill a vacancy caused by expiration of the term of office of President shall be completed before the expiration of the term. An election to fill a vacancy in office of President occurring by reason of his or her death, resignation, or removal, or otherwise shall be held as soon as possible, and in no case later than 6 months from the date of occurrence of the vacancy, and the person elected to fill the vacancy shall, subject to the provision of Article 56, be entitled to hold office for the full term of 5 years from the date on which he or she enters upon his office.